and get everything in there. But look, I'm excited to get into these games. I want to see exactly what we're going to get from this blind pick. There's a couple of things that I'm keeping my eyes on, like the Talia, opening up some of these AD mid laners, like FoFo's already played the likes of Yone. Anivia is something that we haven't seen a huge amount of, which has become super strong on this patch. So I want to know if Knight's going to go towards that, and if we get some of the bird is the word to start off your day.
We just, iBoy and Hug have just locked in Samira Alistar. That is going to be brutal.
They have loved that pick. Like, this is, iBoy's been angling for this Samira, and he's one of the few AD carries that's consistently gone back towards it. And even when they play this bot side, like, we've seen Hung like flash level 1 on this Alistar just to get the lane started off right, and then they get so much pressure in this bottom lane. So I'm really looking forward to seeing iBoy and Hung, who definitely look to have leveled up from last year and look like a pretty potent bot lane now.
I really want to see this Zoe matchup in the mid.
Wait, is Dan going to get it? Is he going to get the double?
Actually might. But when you think about these two players, right? FoFo, really great Zoe. Knight, famous for his Zoe. It's locked.
A lot of it comes down to Ornn, because it kind of depends on what you're getting off your W. And I know, yeah. It very much kind of comes down to, like, who gets redemption, who gets these kind of things that can really just swing the matchup one way or the other. It's interesting to see Karsa going back towards this Pantheon again. Like, Karsa has been loving this Pantheon pick, just the ability to get out and get aggressive in the early stages, and it feels like a very Karsa pick, because Karsa, as we know, like from last year, isn't someone who's going to sit back on like Graves and Lilias and these kind of guys and just farm it out and try and become a carry in the later game. He's always about supporting the rest of his team, so an aggressive jungle pick like this that can very easily set up his lanes for success is exactly what Karsa's going to look for.
Well, the semi-final is underway, and there is a significant skin disparity in the mid lane, Dagda. We've got Prestige on one side, and we've got a swimming pool party on the other side. So, you know, I don't know whether that's going to affect the gameplay. Probably not at all, but...
Well, I mean, if you spent more money in the skin, then clearly the Ornn is in your favor, right? That's how this works.
That's probably true. Cannot confirm nor deny. I will say, Cube gets the bonus points for being the most boring player on the Rift, blind picking an Ornn there. I think that is maybe the least exciting pick you could have gone for at the top lane.
Yeah, I mean, look, it gives a very stable composition here to Vici, like front to back style fight. You've got nice scaling that can come in as well with this Ornn in the top lane. Whereas on the opposite side for top esports, you're kind of settling in and around this mid kind of pushing towards early late game with their composition, where you got a spike that comes off of 2 items for both your carries, certainly the Gore Drinker and that 1 item spike for the Pantheon as well. It's going to be super strong with another Gore Drinker going in there. So overall, top esports certainly looking to hit this mid game, whereas with Vici they're trying to scale a little bit more. Coming back to our Zoe v Zoe matchup though in the mid lane, it's really interesting to see how both these guys have started off, because you're looking at Doran's Ring on one side for FoFo, whereas Knight has gone the more aggressive route, taking that corrupting pot. Probably has gone for like the time work tonic, maybe even having these biscuits off the inspiration tree as well. So Knight is going to be looking to heavy trade against FoFo in this mid lane, whereas when you're looking at FoFo, he wants to try and play it a little bit slower, even has the cleanse there as well for himself. He wants to try and get towards those later game items and not fall too heavily towards Knight, who just has more sustain in the lane.
It's interesting as well that there is that heal against cleanse, where FoFo's saying, when I get bubbled, I'll be able to get out of it. And Knight is saying, I ain't getting bubbled. Which is two very different ways to look at this mirror matchup. So curious to see how that one pans out. But also, whether we have any jungle interaction in this lane, because you have to say, in terms of gank in the mid lane, it's definitely Pantheon over Graves.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of the way that this matchup's going to go for Karsa and for Aix. It's Karsa trying to see if he can land a couple of these early ganks so then he can get his team snowballing. Whereas for Aix, it's trying to see is if your team can avoid those ganks, and maybe you can get and steal away a couple of these camps while Karsa is interacting with the lanes.
Cube and 369 trading pretty aggressively, but obviously it's going to be Aatrox winning that one out every single time. The extra lifesteal that he gets as well, meaning he can sustain on through. But Karsa... he's feeling a little bit saucy here, rotating around the bottom side of the map, moving towards that scuttle crab. Won't find an opportunity under the tower because this is aggressive old bottom lane from the side of top esports with the new support stepping in, and they are pushing hard.
Yeah, and I was actually curious to see how Knight was going to interact with that, because Knight does have the push in mid, and coming back to the fact that he's got the extra sustain, you can see the biscuits have come through there for him. Like, he's the one, and even in this mirror matchup, is going to have control of the lane just because of the items and the difference in the rune choices. So he had the opportunity to try and swing down towards that bottom lane, but it looks like, at least at the moment, top esports, again, Karsa, just supporting those lanes, allowing them to bully out in the fashion that they want to.
And here we go. Aix with the first gank of the game. Moving up towards 369, trying to punish the aggression, but a beautiful flash comes out. 369 isn't even going to run away. He's not even going to give them that credit. He stays within range of Aix, just taunting it.
I mean, look, nice job there, especially because Aix is just trying to get, obviously, a bit of support there for Cube. 369 trying to bully out in this top lane, and that's kind of what we want to see from top esports here in this top side, and seeing if they can keep this Aatrox rolling, get that Core drink as early as possible, and then you've got this very potent front line with the Aatrox to try and support this long range.
Here we go, they're going straight on towards Hung. He flashes away, but the Ignite is taken away. Aftershock's gone down. Karsa flashes with the Q to finish the kill off, and that's first blood.
Beautifully played, and this is just Karsa we talk about getting into these early ganks, and certainly when you've got so much setup in this bottom side of the map with Jgl and this Leona, you've got the deadly flourish from JackeyLove. That CC chain is obnoxious to deal with, especially if you don't have cleanse.
And I think a really important thing about that gank as well is Pantheon can be very feast or famine, but getting yourself an early kill, getting yourself an early serrated Dirk that you can see in his inventory as well, is so damn valuable, and it means that this pick can have insane amounts of impact on the map.
It also means that when you inevitably start to fall behind against Aix, at least you're able to keep up with the experience through these ganks, getting towards that level 6 as well. And when you get towards level 6, that's where Vici have to take a step back, because that level of potency on these ganks is so damn high. But you can see here, like, you don't get to move as Hung. There's just nothing you can do here. You get the Zenith Blade into the stun, the Deadly Flourish into another stun coming through from the Pantheon. There's just nowhere for you to go. So this is the combo that you're going to see set up. And if you look at the lanes across the board, you've got easy setup for everyone on top esports. So Karsa has all these different lanes that he can go and aggress on. And especially as we talk about level 6 just shortly around the corner, you're going to need to see Vici take a step back and not play as forward in their lanes.
And I just want to point out, Knight currently 5 CS up in this mid lane mirror match, so clearly the better player. One thing that is interesting in the mid lane though is that on one side where we've got the Doran's Ring start from FoFo, he already has a little bit more mana in the lane, so he's opted to go for his boots first, whereas you got the Lost Chapter on the side of Knight.
Yeah, and I mean, look, it's kind of the early pen versus a little bit of the AP versus that regen that comes in from the Lost Chapter. Personally, it's kind of like I'm looking at FoFos to go, right, if I can find a couple of these trades here where I can get this quick trade, I can get that damage down, I'm going to come out with a little bit more value from it because of that early pen. Whereas for Knight, it's trying to get towards that Luden's Tempest as quickly as possible, look towards these long range picks where, say, when we start to look towards that second, third dragon, I'm getting to that first item first and I can do a little bit more.
I'm going to see Hung with the Hex flash back into his own lane here. On the bottom side of the map, we do have a bit of a CS lead in favour of JackeyLove, which with Karsa, diving the tower on towards the enemy, you'd expect that to happen. But because of this bot lane priority from Jgl and JackeyLove, they're able to start this dragon off for themselves. So the bottom side of the map here for top esports really doing work.
Yeah, and as well, just using the fact that 369 has his teleport available on the top side, just making sure that they're able to have that numbers advantage in case Vici show up. But this is actually a little bit of a different story from top esports and their quarterfinals, because top esports did end up falling behind quite a bit, and then it was their mid-game team fights that just the execution in these team fights that really brought them back when we hit the mid-game point. But now we're seeing them actually getting off to a decent start here, and Vici on the other side, we're very much about punishing Suning for their mistakes, but if top esports aren't making very much, well, it's going to be difficult for Vici.
That was an exciting little trade there. Exhaust went down, but Knight was able to get the bubble. Interesting little interaction that happened as well is 369 went down to grab the blue buff because Karsa was on the bottom side of the map. The dragon was taken, so Aix knew it, but as soon as Aix gets into the top side of the jungle to counter jungle there, the blue buff's already gone because 369's grabbed it, so Aix can't find anything across the map.
Yeah, and Aix is really struggling here because he doesn't really have a lane that he can try and play to get involved in Karsa's jungle. Like, you've got Knight, as we talked about, who's controlling... Oh, Knight!
Vici, look at that shot.
All right, well, we guess we know who the Zoe crowd is going to, and it's the Prestige skin. Clearly, it's paid to win in the mid lane right now. But this is what we're saying, is like, look, Knight is controlling this mid lane. He's getting the better trades. He's playing so well around all these, the randomness that gets added to Zoe's W against FoFo, and he's picking up the kills. Bot side of the map, JackeyLove and Jgl are very much in control, same with the 369 because the matchup in the top lane, and it means that Aix can't really get in to punish Karsa when he's going for these ganks. Now, yes, he's farming his own jungle faster, but Karsa isn't falling behind as heavily as you would expect. And that's heartbreaking when you see the 7 HP and the scuttle. Oh, no.
No, Karsa got it, though. Karsa got it. The burn finished it off.
Oh, God. I actually thought Cuban got it with the pillar.
That was pure swag from Karsa. He knew the dot had it. He let Cube waste his Q on that. He's like, don't worry about it, guys.
Amazing. And look, they've even got the Rift Herald to boot off of just that play in the mid lane from Knight. So honestly, you've got a lot going towards top esports here. Now, I'm curious to see where they want to try and make this Rift Herald work. There is an argument here to try and get Knight out of this lane where you toss it down, try and get a couple of these plates, like swing heavily that mid lane matchup in your favor, more so than it already is. Plus, if you can extend that lane, FoFo stuck underneath this tier 2 gives Knight the opportunity to roam down towards this bottom lane, and we already saw how potent that CC chain is from the top esports bot lane. You add a Zoe into the mix, you're going to be in full control.
Jgl and Karsa are going to be roaming around the map, and anyone they find will never move again. Hung really wants this ward. We'll be able to get it in the end and back away here. Aix has arrived as well. Mid lane priority in favor of top esports. Obviously no dragon or anything up, but looks like top esports just want to fight at this point.
Well, they're actually getting vision control. Like, this is kind of how you'd want to, in the perfect scenario, set up for your dragons. About the 2 minute to 1 minute 30 mark, go into the enemy jungle, get some vision control, have your support back, replenish those wards, and then you have full control of the enemy jungle. So they're sweeping wards on their own side and not actually able to get in towards river. So this is just top esports taking on a very different style of gameplay from what we saw of them in summer. And this, all you have to say, is a lot of this coming from Jgl. I've been really impressed with him coming into this roster. He's providing this like big engage tool that top esports have been lacking for a little bit of time, but certainly plays like this where he's getting out of the lane, he's controlling vision, he's understanding what's the game plan from top esports and how to set up the dominoes for that. And this has been something that Jgl has brought so much more over yuyanjia.
Did you see that, JackeyLove? That is not allowed, surely. This man just has limitless amounts of confidence in himself. Just standing on the very edge of Alistar's range, waits for the flash and out flashes Hung. That was beautiful.
It was, but the big thing here is that we're just talking about that dragon. Well, now JackeyLove has no flash. You've still got the Hex flash for Hung, who can come in from multiple different angles, but Aix has found a 369.
He certainly has, and there's a TP behind him as well. Knight's going to be moving on the way as well. 369 will go down before it kicks off, but in comes Karsa to try and answer the kill. Aix flashes away. The Q should come on through. Karsa gets one. FoFo has no mana. He's burning down, but he should survive for now. And now onto Karsa they go. Knight is going to be the next target. He's desperate to get FoFo. He will not let the enemy Zoe get the triple kill, but he might have gone too far. FoFo survives. Knight's on 1 HP, and he's charged down by Cube.
Oh, it's a disaster for top esports. 369 getting caught out, and they thought maybe we can get involved, maybe we can turn this back in their favor, but Vici just outmanned them with the numbers. They're able to get everything from that play, and now you got Knight and Karsa down with this dragon in 2 seconds. I mean, this should be a Vici dragon.
Well, all I'm saying is the better Zoe would have more kills, I think is sort of reached.
Yeah.
So Knight, you've got your work cut out for you now. Yeah, you're absolutely right there. Dragon coming up. Vici will be the ones to start it off, but whether or not they can actually commit to this, the rest of top esports are moving over.
Yeah, I can see Jgl still hanging out here. JackeyLove as well has that curtain call, so he can at least play from pretty far back. Rift Herald just dropped in mid here to try and get mid priority, forcing FoFo and the likes to deal with this, so you can get full control of river, but it looks like Vici not opting to just go straight towards that dragon off of picking off those kills, so it is going to be top esports to pick up this dragon. And from Vici's perspective, I would have preferred to see them threaten that dragon just straight off of that mistake coming through from top esports, because if you can delay those dragons, you're just giving yourself more time to pick up those items onto iBoy, especially get like that 60% crit that you really want, get Cube up towards these later levels where he can be a big impact on this Ornn.
Nicely done here. Do you know, every single time they get a dragon, Aix wants to grab this blue buff, and every single damn time, one of the solo laners from top esports just denies him. Like, Aix is not having a fun time there.
No, and it's so important as well to have these blue buffs in this mid lane matchup to keep it as even as possible. But look, we're going to have a replay of this from 369. Not realizing that he was going to get caught out, assumed that Cube was still in the top lane while all this was going down. Didn't have his TP available, so was trying to roam down towards this dragon play, but ends up getting caught out. And then we just see it's trying desperately from top esports to turn this play back around. Karsa gets one, FoFo survives on the tiniest sliver of health there, and Vici are able to finish him off. So this is where Vici have really been shining in a lot of their games, is the ability to turn around the mistakes that are coming through from their opponents. They did it super well against Sunin and over-aggression towards objectives. Now we're seeing it again where they're more than capable of just, hey, quick TP in from Cube. We know that 369's out of position. Let's get a bit of gold back in our favor.
That was a very very cute little trouble bubble that came through from Knight just while FoFo's trying to clear the wave. I have to say, I'm really enjoying this mid lane. This has been such a pleasure to watch. Here we go. The root comes on through. There's a trouble bubble with the Jhin ult to follow it up, but they're not going to be able to get the fourth shot at the same time as the trouble bubble. So they're not going to find any kills. All it's going to do is open up this town.
Yeah, it will give them a little bit more control of this mid lane, though, and with Rift Herald just spawned, they might be able to get onto that, but...
What is that damage, Doctor? What is that? He's not even finished an item.
I was going to say, he still has a Luden's Tempest on the way, so wait until that finishes, and then we'll see that massive spike, but that's kind of the power of Zoe. She's pretty damn strong in the current patch, and even if you go like the likes of Luden's Tempest into something to say like the Horizon Focus, because you get the extra damage from Horizon Focus for getting the CC off, which Zoe Bubble works, then you get the increased burst damage from both Horizon Focus and the Q hitting thanks to the sleep. Like, it's an insane amount of damage that Zoe can do right now.
Dagda, over the last 15 minutes and 33 seconds, I've slowly been discovering that I'm becoming a Zoe main. That's all
you
that's
knew it in your
happening
heart
in this
all
game.
along. You knew in your heart all along. Don't lie.
I really hope Zoe wins XD. That's all that's the only takeaway I've got from this game so far. I'm impressed at how even it is though. 3-3 on the scoreboard. Goal basically even. Next dragon's coming up in 2 minutes. 369 has been playing pseudo jungler all game long. He's been going for the blue buffs. That fight earlier started because he was taking chickens, and now he sets up the Herald for Karsa.
I want to take a step back, though, and kind of point out something that you're talking about, which is how close that goal is. Pretty much in the Demacia Championship, we've seen that top esports, the early game has been pretty quiet, hasn't actually done too much. It's their mid-game team fights around objectives that have really been securing them their victories. Just individual outplays, finding the right angles. This is really where top esports have shown. And I'm waiting now for the likes of this Soul Point Dragon coming up, or well, at least getting themselves to Soul Point potentially here for top esports, where Vici will be looking to fight. That's where top esports will be looking to showcase exactly what they're capable of, and I'll be on Vici to see if they can go toe to toe with the mechanical prowess of top esports.
And I mean, that's not an easy task, right? That's far from a short order here. You can see both Zoes, though, now with those Luden Tempests in their inventories, so expect massive amounts of damage out of these mid laners in the upcoming fight. Dragon up in 50 seconds, and you have to assume that Vici can't just give this one up.
No, but they've got to try and get in here early. Like, you can already see they have some control over the river. There's a warden that picks up brush. They've got some wards keeping themselves safe. But off of this push here, I want to see if iBoy can shove out this lane as effectively. Move in towards river here with Aix and with Hung just to secure themselves control. With 30 seconds left, though, and Karsa on this bottom side with Rift Herald again, you just have to force priority here for top esports, which makes it so difficult for Vici to get control over river.
You have to wonder, well, with that Herald, that's certainly going to help when it comes down to priority. Just remember, iBoy is on Samira, so ultimately, if he doesn't die right at the start of the fight, he can just 1v9. That's very possible on this champion, so just keep your eyes out on that one. Tower goes down, and Vici, they're not going to lose the dragon immediately. They grouped up enough. You can see FoFo moving over as well. Knight's got priority in the mid lane, though. FoFo might just have to forego that minion wave. And everyone, this is tense actually. Everyone's just waiting for this fight to start. Dro goes in though. Hung to start this one off. Teleports from both top laners as Dro goes down to start the fight. iBoy still surviving as Karsa is in the back line right now. Knocked up, but he's got his Aegis Assault to keep him safe. A huge amount of damage coming out. And in comes 369, obliterating everyone. But iBoy survived for now. Aix escapes as well. Trouble bubbles galore as Knight is chunked out, but out comes 369. In goes Karsa to try and get some damage. iBoy used the ulti, but it doesn't hit anybody. He's forced away. In goes Knight over everybody. Karsa to finish off the kills, and Vici are left to run with their tails between their legs.
And this is what I talked about, Munch. Once you get to these objective fights in the mid-game, top esports always pop off. Juggling aggro so beautifully, just ebb and flow of these fights. It's like a dance for top esports, and they're able to come out victorious. That's going to be the kills. It's going to be their third dragon, and top esports suddenly take the lead.
And Aix finally stole a blue buff. He's been wanting to do this whole game long. This is a big moment for him. Let's take another look, because that was a messy fight.
Yeah, but this is what I love about Jgl, is his ability to start these engages perfectly for top esports. You've got iBoy, who's zoned out on the right hand side. You've got Knight, who's in this perfect position, who's comfortable over these walls to just pop in and out of these fights. And look, Karsa goes in, backs out, right as 369 goes in aggressive. So Vici are constantly forced to change who they're focused on. And you've got JackeyLove again, comfortably over this back wall, firing in with the curtain call, just whittling down these health bars bit by bit and allowing the sustain from 369 and also Pantheon to a certain extent to keep himself safe. And then there's that mechanical prowess we were talking about.
Like, I didn't even know that was possible. You know, from where he is to where he hit that, like, I didn't even know that was possible, even with a flash on Zoe. So, I don't know. Knight is on another level with this champion.
It's the prestige skin, man. It's just the prestige skin.
Look, all I'm saying is, FoFo's still got one more kill. So, let's wait and see before. But to be fair, regardless of scores, Zoe has looked better. Knight has looked.
Zoe has looked better.
That says a lot, right? But Knight has looked better in terms of, like, the pop-off moments so far this game.
And I mean, look, you can easily call Knight Zoe, because it has been a champion he's been synonymous for so long at this stage. He's looked so strong on it. And there's a couple of them, like, we've great Zoes in the league, like Jgl, but Knight has always been the creme de la creme when it comes to what this champion is capable of.
It's actually, it's just a pleasure to watch, isn't it? It's so much fun to see these guys. I'm loving this blind pick. I think it's such a good idea. Here we go. Jgl wants to start this one off. iBoy survives, though, gets away with his life. 369 is going huge on the backline. He's found iBoy as well. Jgl is going to answer with his life there, and 369 is forced away. But Cube is going to answer for his team's crimes here. It's going to be a 2-for-1 overall.
I mean, top esports now, they can just shove in this mid lane. They can hoosh over towards this Baron if they really want to. You've got a lot of their engages gone down. The only thing they might be a bit wary of is the poke from FoFo. If you're all clumped up in the pit like that, but it looks like it doesn't really matter. They might just move over towards it anyway.
Looks like they're just going to go and clearing the side waves here. Deciding it's a little bit risky to just try and brute force them out, especially with a Jhin and a Zoe. It's not like you've got much fast damage on towards something like a Baron, right? It's not that easy of a take.
I was more looking at the likes of the Aatrox and stuff, just being able to regen so effectively you can take it pretty quickly. But and especially when you don't have the TPs available for the likes of Cube, it would have still been the 3v4. But either way, look, you can see again what I love about Jgl coming into this team. Aggressive engages, setting up so well for the team. Aix taking off the board straight off the bat. 369 getting onto iBoy in that backline means that iBoy with this short range on this Samira isn't able to get in and be so aggressive in these team fights. Like, that's the big thing about Samira, is that she wants to be the thick of things, but she needs her team to set her up properly so she's safe to get in aggressively into the middle of everyone, pop that ultimate, shred all that damage out. But unfortunately for iBoy, because his team is on the back foot, he's not having the support network to go in as aggressive as he would have liked and be able to take on top esports.
Yeah, well, he's having to use his dash and his spin around, his projectile block. I don't actually know what that's called. But he's having to use them defensively, right, at the start of the fight, which means he can't do all of too much to follow up on that one. Hung also having to use his headbutt there just to peel for iBoy instead of as an engage tool. And when you look at this composition from Vici, realistically, they want to be going in, but currently they're having to peel back in these fights.
And that's the problem here, is that like when you're trying to go that aggressive here is Vici, like look at the long range that you've got on towards top esports. Like when you actually want to get on towards Knight, when you want to get on towards JackeyLove, they're way back with the likes of the curtain call and being able to pop over with the Zoe. So it's very difficult to get these short range champions like the Samira and the Graves into the right position to get onto the carries.
All right, well, Dagda, 30 seconds, and then we've got an Ocean Soul on the line for top esports. And, oh, that's a cheeky little trouble bubble coming through from FoFo. I don't think there's any follow-up available here. Hunk's going to be knocked up. There's some Infernal Chains as well. A Solar Flare. Top esports toying with the idea of going on this, but they're not going to actually commit. Another trouble bubble goes in, but it's immediately after the Qs are thrown that these bubbles are hit, so no follow-ups available.
There's no rush in top esports to engage, though. As you said, like they have so much range in comparison to top esports. I mean, Zoe versus Zoe, but the Jhin, certainly those deadly flourishes do a lot more.
Here we go. Draw going in. FoFo trying to answer on the other side of the fight as Karsa jumps straight into the back line, but doesn't quite finish anything off. Flashes out with his life, though. FoFo trying to finish that one off, but the bubble doesn't quite land. And after all of that, nobody going down just yet. Knight wants to change that, though, as he tries to find Cube for himself, but Cube with some fancy footwork on the Ornn. TP being channeled from 369. This is going to be the flank that they desperately need for themselves. There's only 4 members of Vici here. This doesn't look like a good fight for Vici and the boys here. iBoy going to be the target. Spins around to keep himself safe. Force shot, 369 goes in, and boy does he know how to count. That's 2 for himself, make it a triple, as Knight wants the kill onto FoFo, and he doesn't care about his teammates' multi-kill, that's for sure.
Zoe kills Zoe, but the triple for 369. He's definitely rolling 9s these games, and it looks like it's going to be a crit coming through for top esports, as they're going to get that Ocean Soul for themselves as well. And again, just the team fights from top esports are so well executed. Karsa making out on just a sliver of health, but with that TP coming in from 369, gets him into the perfect flank position. And from that point forward, it's all she wrote for Vici Gaming. And how do you even try and progress this game on as Vici? Because you were already struggling to deal with how much healing was coming through from the likes of 369, from Karsa as well with the Eclipse, and now you just add an Ocean Soul into the mix. Like, you can see the Executioners, the Oblivion Orbs are there, but it's just not enough against this team of top esports.
And it's such a beautiful composition to watch. Like, you were talking about it in one of the earlier team fights, when you've got this Aatrox jumping in, then a Pantheon jumping in, and they can take so much damage and survive through it and just juggle that out.
Exactly. It's this ebb and flow that top esports is so good at. You can see that 369 starts it off. Okay, cool, I'm going to back away just a little bit. Now it's Karsa's turn, and they just know that, look, I can hang on a second, I can wait for these fights, because we've got the long range from Zoe, we've got the long range from Jhin. As long as I'm giving them buying space for this backline, that's my job done, and then eventually I can flash in aggressively and take all the glory with those 3 kills.
Look, all I'm saying is there's something about red side bot lane tri-brush and LPL top laners annihilating carries. I'm sure that there's a European team that remembers something in that brush as well. But
maybe.
We won't speak of that here on the broadcast. Beautiful stuff, though, so far here from Top Esports. 5,000 gold lead, and Ocean Soul. This is feeling like Game 1 might be going their way in the end. We may have the better Zoe decided, but it's really interesting to see the difference here between Top Esports in the semi-final versus their quarterfinal, because JackeyLove was kind of the focal point for a lot of the games in the quarterfinal. Here, he's very much taken a back seat and being a much more supportive role, and it's the solo laners and Karsa that are shining.
Definitely is. And coming back to the point on Knight, you can see like just the tiny little advantages that can eke out in this matchup. We talked already about like going the more aggressive trading style, going for the corrupting of the biscuits. But even when you look at this stage of the game, like he's already got another legendary item in with that Magi Soul Stealer. Whereas on the opposite side for FoFo, you've had to put 800 versus the 1,150 gold into an Oblivion Orb. So you don't have the Dark Seal, you don't have a second legendary item. So even your ability haste isn't coming through. Like it's all these little things that are just stacking up consistently for Knight that are giving him the advantages, alongside him just being a fantastic Zoe player at the whole.
So we kind of reset here for a second, and I will say we've had some banging team fights, but it's actually been a fairly low action game comparatively, at least to the group stages. in... wait, how does Karsa just out-trade FoFo at this point in the game? That's not a good look if you're the Zoe right there. And also Ocean Soul, so it doesn't really matter if Top Esports are taking trades here. Knight had himself a cleanse from the W. He's going to be able to trade with literally half of Hung's health bar. That's the tank for Vici, so not ideal right before a team fight.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to go for the Turbo Chem tank, at least for the Alistar, so he does have a fairly decent amount of magic resist with the Negatron Cloak, but not going to be enough with how fed you've got this Zoe at the moment.
The key thing to take away there is trying to. We're 28 minutes in. He hasn't finished an item.
No. And I mean, to be fair, the Chem tank is a little bit more expensive because it is a tank item. It's 3,200 versus the likes of the Locket of the Iron Solarian stuff, which are looking about 2,800. But even then, yeah, it's kind of sucks as this Alistar that you haven't been able to pick it up. And I can understand why he's going for this. As Vici, you understand that I need to get in on top of this top esports lineup. If we're not able to catch them out, they're going to be able to set up as they have been and play these team fights so incredibly well. So he needs to try and get in on top of them. But if you're not going to be able to finish off this item, you got to start looking for creative angles as Hung. Like, you look to deny this vision control. See if you can stand off in the back line. Like, how many times have we seen Alistars like hiding in raptor pits, flashing over walls? Like, this is what you need to do now as Hung. Start to get creative and see if you can actually get on towards Knight and JackeyLove, because if you do, there's a lot of CC that can follow up so incredibly quickly, and maybe you can look to burst out top esports.
Yeah, I mean, one of the benefits for Vici is that even with this Ocean Soul, both JackeyLove and Knight not exactly playing champions that are going to benefit from an Ocean Soul all too much. They're going to be fairly squishy. If FoFo can get a bubble onto Knight specifically, because JackeyLove has cleanse, so he ain't down to a bubble anytime soon. Let's have a see, though, because we've got a fight on our hands. Karsa, he's trying to bake up a storm here. Solar Flare in onto the team. Aix going to be put to sleep as well. Everybody jumping in. iBoy survives for now. He's going to be looking to get that ulti off. Spinning through everyone, but he doesn't have any damage. He just goes in and goes out straight away again. FoFo flashing away for his life, but I don't think you can escape this one, my friend. Another one for Knight. Onto the opponent, Zoe. And now they're just going to try and chase down Cube.
Yeah, I mean, look, Cube didn't take too much damage there, simply because top esports were coming in from all angles, bypassing the front line, straight on towards the squishy members of Vici, and they burst them out. Now, top esports went back over towards this Baron as Knight, gonna see if maybe he can take this mid lane inhib turret, but with Cube back to clear the wave, they'll just take the Baron as a prize.
And, you know, I saw iBoy go in, and with the ulti, I was like, this is the Samira moment. It's gonna be 300 years. It was not. It was quite the opposite. He goes in, does nothing, dies immediately.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, look at his build. I mean, he's got the shield bow, right, and the collector, but he hasn't got like the likes of the Infinity Edge that he's trying to finish off now, so he doesn't have that extra damage that's coming from the crits. It's just the build is lagging so far behind at this stage that unfortunately that isn't the moment. But you can see here at least that idea from Hung there, trying to see if he can catch out some members of top esports, get in on these creative angles, but unfortunately he's getting onto 369, the front line for top esports. Top esports come out of the woodwork and jump on towards Vici, and there you can see it, but instantly Jgl gets that stun onto the Samira. No more ultimate, no more survivability, and he's out of there.
Well, Karsa's just waiting for the opportunity here. Solar Flare goes in, though, and already they're onto the entire team. In goes Karsa to the backline. He's all out of bread to bake, and that means it's time to fight. Double kill with a single Q, and he wants to chase down the rest of the squad. iBoy and Hung left to run to the hills as Ornn goes down. 19-7 on the scoreboard, and it's curtains for iBoy. I don't think there's much you can do about this one. With a trouble bubble, Knight snags the kill.
Oh yeah, you can see iBoy trying to clear the wave desperately.
Nobody escapes. No one.
Oh god, okay, this is it. Top esports. They're going to be able to try and at least crack open the base. Vici tried to deny the wave at mid. Doesn't matter, they all go down for it. Now you still got 30 seconds until iBoy's up. Top esports can just look to force this game out.
Yeah, look, Karsa is here to bake bread and win team fights, and he is all out of bread, baby. He's just looking amazing on this Pantheon. And I love, no matter what happens, if there's a potential fight happening, even if it's a mistake from top esports, he's going in. Here we go. Game's going to end here, 22-7, as top esports take a commanding victory here in game number 1 of our first semi-final.
And look, it was in classic top esports fashion, right? The lanes kind of a little bit slow, Karsa getting a gank here, a little bit there, but it's not really high octane gameplay until we get to these mid game. I mean, when we look at 369, it's his ability to just read the map as like, look, I can shove in this Ornn in the top lane, but how do I try and just alleviate some of the pressure that is going to be going on towards Karsa? Well, I get into towards Aix's jungle. I've got Karsa who can always come across to support me with that ultimate, so I've always got that buddy alongside me, and then you can start to snowball that advantage through there and kind of, as he said, make up for the lack of clear that Karsa has. But honestly, it was just top esports playing their style. I mean, look, they knew once we get towards these 1 to 2 items, you get into the clips, you get that